Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be about the Savage set. As you can see here, I've got my set rankings tier list pulled up, and then on the right side of that, I am doing videos where we do a deep dive into each one of these sets. Savage is one of the best raw power damage dealing sets in the game, so we will dive into both the optimal champions and optimal situations where this set is most useful, so let's get into it. Alrighty, so this set is kind of ranked in terms of general usefulness from early game, mid game, end game, trying to encompass everything for all players and rank things as best I can. It's not going to be perfect, but just to rank things in order of which sets I think are best and which sets I think are worst in terms of general utility over the course of your life playing Raid. So you can see here Savage all the way up there at number 8. And in terms of mechanics for the set, it ignores 25% of the enemy's defense. And then as far as acquisition for the set, you're going to be grinding it from the Fire Knight dungeon. But let's get this put away and dive into the most optimal champions for wearing the Savage set. Okay, so as you see on the screen here, Trunda is probably the most famous champion for wearing the Savage set. As you see, my Trunda right here in the 4 pieces of Savage, and then my 2 pieces that best work around that set, because the priority was for me to get a GG Savage set, and then I'm just going to be mixing and matching my best pieces besides that to work with it. And the reason that Trunda is so amazing in the Savage set is because she's one of the best raw power damage dealers in the game. If you get her built with low accuracy, causing her A3 here, Forge Rhythm, to get 2 hits, because if it doesn't place the stun, you can see there it says places an extra hit on enemies not under a stun debuff. So with the insane multiplier and this thing getting 2 hits, it is one of the best nuking abilities in the game. And her A2 as well, that attacks all other enemies with a second hit, and dealing 60% of the damage inflicted from the first hit is an insane damage dealing ability as well. And then she also does damage on her A1. You want the Savage set to be on somebody who's going to be doing damage every single turn. If they've got abilities where they're debuffing opponents or healing or buffing your team or something, that's a turn where they're not dealing damage and they're not getting any value out of 4 pieces of their gear in terms of the set bonuses that those pieces are adding to the champion. And I've got some arena footage here to illustrate this, how insane Trunda can hit while utilizing the Savage set. So let me pull this up right here, okay? And there you see the A3 from Trunda, and boom, look at those damage procs. And then you'll see it hit twice. Look at those, 120, 106, 131, 109, and we're getting 2 hits from the Trunda attacks. I'll show you again, just in case you missed it, the debuffs, and then Trunda coming in with the massive damage numbers to nuke crazy effectively in the arena. Now, to illustrate some of the numbers behind the actual impact of the Savage set, I want to pull up an amazing tool made by a clanmate and good friend of mine, AdamAxis. Now, I will try to remember to link over there to a dedicated video on this tool. It is absolutely amazing, and I know he is continually working on it to make it even better over time, so you know I'll keep you up to date on this tool and how it is progressing as long as you follow the channel. But anyway, here we go. You can see I've got my Trunda plugged in, Trunda Gilt Mallet up here under name, and then mainly what's going to matter is the damage dealing stats. I know there's a lot to look at right here. There's a lot of text on the screen, but I promise it's easy to understand once I walk you through exactly what's going on here. So we can see here, 25% ignore defense. That is the bonus from the Savage set. So we've got that plugged in there. 287 crit damage is the crit damage of my Trunda, and then the attack here of 52-51. Now, for the attack buff, that's going to be from the Arbiter. When I'm in the arena, Arbiter does her ability, boosts up the attack. That's plugged in right there. The Masteries bonus, that's from those Masteries on the offense tree, like hitting an enemy with higher max HP, first hit on an enemy. Those things in the offense tree that greatly help your damage in the arena and also other situations in the game as well. And then here for the weekend, we've got the 25% plugged in on the weekend and the 60% defense break plugged in here. This 5,000 number right here would be the enemy's defense that you're plugging in, who you're going up against. So it's going to obviously change whether you're in the arena or whether you're going up against the spider or some dungeon, faction wars, whatever. That number is going to be changing a lot. And if it's in the arena, you're not going to know the exact amount, obviously. You would have to kind of estimate an opponent that you would be facing. So then we'll be going off of the booked average damage numbers because my Trunda is booked. So this is the A2. And this is the A3 for booked average damage that we can expect in this scenario. Now, in the arena, this number right here, the booked A3 average damage, that's what's going to be happening. That's what Trunda prioritizes. That's the reason we want the low accuracy build with Trunda, so we can get that A3 to hit twice. We would do the 58,000 times 2 as long as we get the 2 hits. And the champions that you saw me go up against in that clip where I showed the insane damage numbers from the Trunda, they probably weren't stacking defense up to like 5k. So they probably had a defense somewhere around 2200 or so. And there you see the 102,000 the A3 was hitting for twice. And that's when I was showing you, like, look at that, 102, 108. That's because those champions probably weren't stacking defense up to 5,000. But I'm going to put it at 5,000 just to illustrate the impact if you're going up against a sturdy opponent, something like a Duchess or a Valkyrie or a Martyr in the arena, something that's stacking defense, how insanely impactful the Savage set actually is. So if we look down to this A3 again, we've got 58,000 damage in the slot here that we can expect the average to be in this scenario. Now, what if I take off that 25% ignore defense? How much crit damage would I have to add to get back to that 58k down here for the booked A3 average damage? Remove that 25. Okay, so how much more would I have to add to this 287? Let's try 350. Let's add a ton, like 63 crit damage instead of the Savage set. Nope, I don't get to 58. That wasn't enough. Okay, how about 375? Close, but not quite. I have to go all the way up to about 400 crit damage instead of 287 to get back to that 58k instead of the Savage set. So you can see the Savage set can be worth over 100 crit damage in a scenario like this where you're going up against a defense opponent and you're ignoring some of that defense. It can just drive your damage through the roof and be super impactful when you compare it in a context of if you were to remove it and put crit damage instead. And obviously, every situation is going to be a little bit differently. You're going to be going up against low defense opponents, high defense opponents, and have different multipliers and different champions. So it's really basically impossible to get it down to an exact science, an exact number that you can expect the Savage set to be worth. But the Savage set is basically going to be somewhere between about 60 and 120 crit damage depending on the situation, which is crazy impactful, and it's why it is such an amazing raw power damage set. But let's put this away and go back into game here. I'm going to talk about another situation where the Savage set absolutely shines. So let me go down to my Septimus here. So on my main account, I've got the two Septimus that you see right here. I've got the one built in a Savage set. I use these for the Spider nuke strategy where I've got the Ghostborn with the guaranteed defense down, and I'll show you this in a little bit. And then double Septimus, double Royal Guard, we blast the Spider down in about 11 seconds. But I will show you, I've got the Savage Septimus that will go first because the speed is higher at 209. And then this one is at 195 without a Savage set, but does have a little bit of Cruel. And you will be able to see that the Septimus that goes second has the crit damage all the way up at 275. My Septimus that goes first has crit damage of only 238, but is going to hit harder because of the Savage set. And remember how I just showed you how insanely impactful the Savage set can be when comparing it to trying to replace it with something like crit damage. And I didn't show you the attack number, which does matter on the Septimus A2. You can see here the big hitting Holy Sword scales off of attack and enemy max HP. So that makes it an amazing opportunity to get a bunch of value out of the Savage set, because that enemy max HP number, when you get to level 20 dungeons and stuff, that number gets really high and it scales really well. But even though this first Septimus has significantly less attack and significantly less crit damage, he will hit harder. So you can see here 4,800, 238 versus 5,500 and 275. So he is lacking in everything except for the Savage set. And you will see that the first Septimus will still hit harder because of Savage. So here we go. This is the Spider fight. And remember, the first Septimus is the one with Savage. So we're going to debuff. Boom. And then my first Septimus is going to be the one in Savage with less attack and less crit damage. Boom. 2.027. And then my second Septimus is the one with more attack, more crit damage, and also has a Cruel set. Boom. Hits for just barely a little less. So they are hitting about equally as hard, but the one in Savage has less attack, less crit damage, and the Cruel set is actually shortening the gap because the one Septimus had a Cruel set, so it's not a full like Savage versus non-Savage, and it was still about the same. So now that we've covered the optimal champions and situations for the Savage set, which would be champions that have great multipliers and are nuke type champions like Trunda, or champions that are doing enemy max HP and going up against those high level bosses. If you've got somebody like Royal Guard, Cold Heart, Septimus, they're going to do a ton of damage with those enemy max HP abilities, scaling with the Savage set. But on the flip side, for suboptimal champions, champions that you would not want to put in the Savage set, obviously it's going to be the opposite of that. It's going to be champions that don't do damage, champions that have bad multipliers, healers, turn meter boosters, supports. All of those champions are going to be bad in the Savage set. You definitely want to put it on the type of damage dealing champions that I was talking about. So that is going to do it for what I wanted to cover in this video. Definitely take advantage of the raw damage output power of the Savage set. It is absolutely incredible when it is built properly and used in the right situation. And then let me pull up that set tier list one more time here. There it is. I will link to that down in a pinned comment so it's nice, easy to find. I do have other videos like this diving into the other top sets in the game. I am trying to round out this set's tier list and get videos on the right side linking towards the different videos. So I will add the Savage one to that column. And that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.